couple of bonuses also, because I like to under promise and over deliver. 5 steps for turning cold leads into hot clients and warm referrals. And quite honestly, I'm excited to share this because I need some reminders on some of these things, because I haven't been as consistent with some of these activities as I could or should be. And by me teaching this, it'll hopefully get back in here as well. And so I'm going to share my screen, but I'm just going to work from a Google Doc. Okay. And then I'm going to bounce around. I'll share some different things. If you have a question, if you have a comment, go ahead and pop it in the chat. If I don't see the chat, if Harry or someone can let me know, hey, there's a good question in there that relates, because sometimes I get going here, especially when I'm screen sharing, and I lose track of what's going on here. So step 1 in this 5 steps actually is before a person becomes a lead. And actually, before I even get into that, because I said that, we've got to have the right mindset when we're generating leads and trying to turn leads into clients. And the right mindset, in my experience, is to remember that every lead is a person. They're a human being. They're not a lead. They're a person that has wants and desires and whatever the case may be. There's a real person behind the email address, behind the phone number, behind the name. And that, remembering that simple fact, sometimes that shift in mindset, sometimes that could be a big deal. That can make a big difference. Okay. With that said, step 1 is the offer. The offer that you are using to generate a quote unquote cold lead. What offer are you putting out in the marketplace to get someone to request more information or to opt in? What is it? And the 3 big buckets that I think there are when it comes to offers and generating leads are: bucket number 1, listings, existing and existing listing. Okay, promoting an existing listing where the offer is pretty simple. Would you like more information about this listing? Okay. And that is a great way to find other, to generate clients. This is such a simple thing, right? But if I'm promoting a listing that's a double wide in a mobile home park in my market, what type of leads am I going to generate? I'm going to generate leads that are interested in buying a double wide in a mobile home park, or they might be curious about what their mobile home may sell for in that mobile home park. Okay. So if you want more clients who are looking for, 3-bed, 2.5-bath townhomes in a particular school district, then promoting listings like that is a great way to get more of those clients. Again, simple, but I even forget sometimes, right? Some of the most simple concepts here. So bucket number 1 under offer is specific listings. Okay. That's bucket number 1. Actually, we'll do it this way. A, specific listings. B is what I call buyer leads on demand. Okay. Buyer leads on demand. Okay. And that is most often a curated list of certain properties. For example, a campaign that I'm running right now that I'm going to give some examples of conversations that I've had with some of these leads already that have come through the pipeline. What I'm offering is a free weekly list of recently price reduced homes in Central PA. Free weekly list of recently price reduced homes in Central PA. Now, that recently price reduced, that alone could have any number of niches attached to it. So you could offer a free weekly list of recently price reduced new construction homes in blank area, blank county, blank city, blank school district, whatever it is. You could offer a free weekly list of recently price reduced homes. Recently price reduced vacant lots and land in blank area. Okay. But it doesn't even have to be recently price reduced. You could simply offer, a free weekly list of new construction townhomes in your market. You could offer a free weekly list of waterfront properties. Okay. You could offer a free list of condos, of luxury, any number of offers that you can make where you get to strategically choose the type of clientele that you're bringing into your database, that you're bringing into your world, right? And you could choose wisely, okay? You can choose wisely. Now, I think there's always a dichotomy of the clientele that I want and is that inventory moving, right? Because especially now in a wild market set of market conditions, all things considered with rates and inventory, et cetera, you need to at least consider that when you're deciding on what offer am I going to use to generate leads. Okay. You want there to be opportunity for you to inventory wise, if you get someone, when you get someone who's ready, willing, and able, that there's something available for them, or that there are. The other bucket, the third bucket, is what I'll call seller-centric offers. That could be offering a free home valuation. It could be offering a home price report in a little, pocket, whether it's a school district, a city, a county, depending on how rural, et cetera. It could be, instead of a home valuation, to find out the cash, what kind of cash offer they could generate on their home. Okay. Those are the three big buckets, in my experience, that generally we utilize to generate new leads, to create more opportunities in our bucket or in our database for us to follow up with. Okay. Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas on step one of the process. And I'm just curious, who here, and you can do the raise hand, or you can just comment in the chat. Are you currently generating leads in some way, shape, or form on Google pay-per-click, with YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram? Even TikTok has lead ads. Are you generating leads organically in some way, shape, or form, where you're getting people coming to you, right? I'm not talking about like you making outbound, reaching out to for sale by owners or expireds or for rent by owners, things of that nature. I'm talking about where you're putting marketing and advertising out that is creating inbound lead flow. Who is, George is doing Facebook leads. George's Facebook leads, he's using a similar campaign to mine, the recently price reduced, and it's doing quite well, generating a lot of opportunities. Who else?
We just started running a hot list ad. So basically just anything that's under 550,000, which is a little bit lower than our median here, and getting leads every day. So yeah, and I want to fire up the new construction again too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right on. Thanks for sharing. So there's as difficult as this may seem to some of you, generating the leads is the easy part. There are any number of ways that you can get inbound leads and prospects coming to you. The harder part is, how do you get into conversation with them to give yourself the opportunity to get an appointment, to give yourself an opportunity to earn their business through your service. Okay. And that's really what the next 4 steps are focused around. Okay. So step two is immediately after opt-in. If we were talking about traditional brick and mortar business, you might even call this like point of sale. Like, what happens if Harry sees one of my ads and he hits submit? He's I've convinced him to give me his information. What happens immediately after Harry hits submit? And this is it's a little thing that can make a huge difference. It is your first, if you think about this as a series of transactions, this is a major transaction, because if you don't make good on the thing that you're promising them, you have most likely lost the opportunity with that prospect or lead forever. In other words, if they feel like it was some sort of bait and switch, you've lost that opportunity. It's going to be, let's face it, the quote unquote conversion rate on cold leads in our industry is relatively low. Let's call it 1 to 2. If you're doing it really well, 3, 4, 5% maybe. And I'm talking short term, in the first 30 to 90 days that a new lead comes into your pipeline. If you mess this part up, you might as well, you're making it infinitely more difficult. And if you were, let me give you the reverse of that, okay? The opposite of that, how to do it really well. On our Wake Up Real Estate show this morning, Ryan shared what he refers to as a bridge page that we're sending leads right now as we test in my market and his market. He's in Florida. That we're sending people after they opt in to, number one, give them the thing that they asked for, and number two, give them potential paths that they can take as their next best step, so they can immediately get the thing that they asked for. So we're making good on that. We're making good on that transaction. And then they can choose their own adventure, right? If you're of a certain age, you remember the choose your own adventure books where you read a chapter and at the end of the chapter, it says, if you want them to choose a door number A, choose, go to chapter 3. If you would choose, door number B, I don't know why I'm saying door letter B, go to chapter 7. Allowing them to choose what's the natural next step for them. Okay. Now, will everyone choose a next step? No. Okay. So don't expect, if you get 100 new leads, that every one of them will start down these different paths. Far from it. But by making those paths available to them, some of them will. Some of them will take the next step. Some of them, for example, we got several people this weekend from testing who provided us with more detailed information. For example, I'm going to pull one up here. Where is it? This was someone who opted in for a buyer leads on demand style of offer. Okay. And we offered them pass. We gave them the list of homes that they were looking for. Okay. So they immediately got that thing. And then there were several options that they could choose that we simply said, the thing you requested is above. You can click on the link, whatever. While you're here, which best describes you? And this one chose investor. Okay, that they were an investor or wanted to be an investor, and that they were looking for financing in the next 1 to 2 months. And we got them to reconfirm their name, email, and phone number. Okay, here's another one that came through over the weekend. This one chose first-time buyer, and that they would like to learn more about our Make Home Affordable program, and that they were looking for that they thought they would need financing in 3 to 5 months, and that they were currently renting. And again, we confirmed name, email, and phone number. Okay, now that's more specific to buyer leads. What about seller leads? Okay, what about seller leads? Well, last week on our Wake Up Real Estate channel, I had Joe Peterson with iList Tech on. And one of the things I like about what Joe is doing in their technology is they're offering a similar model on the seller side. So for example, if you offered a free home valuation if you are using that platform, and for those of you interested in the platform, get back to whoever invited you. They can send you information, and where you can sign up, all of that good stuff. And it's really affordable, all things considered. What you can do with that platform is they can get an instant home valuation, and then they can choose what their next best step is. Do they want to get a cash offer? Would they like access to a free listing platform? Maybe they're thinking about selling for sale by owner, or maybe they would like to utilize the bidding platform that is built into iList Tech, or maybe they just want a traditional listing. You allow them to choose their own path. I need to reiterate, though, not all of them will. In fact, many of them won't, and that's okay. That's okay. We'll address those others with some of the other steps I'm going to go through here. Harry.
So what do you use for the bridge page?
Well, I would say you use whatever you have. The easiest, okay, so the easiest would be literally a YouTube URL where it's you live face to camera, or you on a Loom, and you're telling them that they can get the link to the homes that you promised in the description. And oh, by the way, there are some other great options depending on your situation for you to consider below as well. And you could have simply, if you're a first-time home buyer, text first time to this number, and I'll send you a free report of things to consider when buying your first home. If you're looking to get started in real estate investing, text this and I'll send you this, right? That would be like the lowest tech version of that. You may have access, like we have access to KV Core. So a bridge page on KV Core could be that video on a page where there's a button below that sends them to the thing that they requested. The list of Central PA recently price reduced homes. Hey, this is Josh. Thanks for requesting our free weekly list of recently price reduced homes here in Central PA. When you click the button below, you can get instant access to look at all of those. Oh, by the way, as you're looking at them, if there are any that you'd like more information on, or you'd like to schedule a private VIP tour, just let me know. We're happy to help. And while you're here, I've got a quick question for you, and I would love for you to let me know by email or call or text me. Are you looking for a home for yourself, or you're looking for an investment property? And you could ask any number of questions there, right? So for example, another question would be, also just curious, the list that's below, it's for all of Central PA. Is there a specific school district or area that you're looking to be in? Do me a huge favor and shoot me an email or call or text me. I would love to know so we can set you up on a custom search that better fits your needs or what you're looking for. What we're doing at Wake Up Real Estate to scratch our own itch is we're building and he's working on it right now as we speak and making progress, where that bridge page, you can have a video, you can have the thing that they asked for, the list or whatever, and then you can have built-in surveys based upon which best describes them. Are they a first-time buyer? Are they an investor? Or are they looking to trade up or downsize? And then taking them down a path based upon which best describes them. So we're working on that, and we'll have more information about that in the near future. But the bigger point is use whatever you've got and just do something with that bridge page, right? And the critical thing with that immediately, after opt and a bridge page is that you need to make good on what you promised and use it as a way to build some relationship and rapport equity with them. And also, not to sell, but to give them the opportunity for them to tell you how you can better serve them. Okay, how you can better serve their wants and needs. Okay, so that's immediately after they opt in. Now, the next piece of the puzzle is we need short-term automated follow-up. And for me, like I define that and some of this is, whatever, it's just our own language, right? There's no like, this isn't like industry specific language or anything like that. For me, that means the first 7 to 10 days that they're in my database, what happens with them? The first 7 to 10 days. And probably the easiest way to demonstrate that is I'll just go into KV Core and I'll show you the smart campaign that is currently running for these, for the campaign that I've got bringing me fresh leads right now. In fact, I mean, we may have had a couple of people, I've had a couple of people opt in this morning, I think. Now, while I'm bringing this up, it's important that you have as many components to your follow-up as possible. Meaning email, text, ringless voicemail if you have the opportunity, video texting, video email, even direct mail. You want to, we are in a world where there is more and more, or there are more and more people competing for your prospects' attention. Okay, so we've got to meet them where they are, and we've got to do so in a way that provides value and in a way that gives us the opportunity to learn more about what they're looking to do so we can figure out how to best help and serve them. Okay, so anybody using KV Core, I can give you the share code to this. In fact, I'll even drop it in the chat for those of you live. If you're watching this after the fact, we'll have the share code in the description. And if it's not there, just comment and we'll get it to you. Here is the current sequence that is going out. And I'm going to give you a very specific example of someone that responded to this part of the SMART campaign, or the automated follow-up, responded last night to this, and I'll give you the exact scenario of it. But it's an email that happens immediately. And the email, once again, is making good on the thing that you promised. The email is giving them the thing that they asked for, that they opted in for, that they requested. If it was a free list of recently price reduced homes in Central PA, that's what it is. If it is a guide to buying your first home, that's what it is. You give them the thing that they asked for. The voicemail in this scenario is just to confirm for the prospect, hey, we sent you that thing that you asked for. And oh, by the way, in this case, I say, oh, by the way, I've got a quick question for you when you have a minute. If you could please call or text me back. And I've got a story for that scenario that I'll share that happened last week as well. Then there's a series of text messages. Then we do another voicemail a couple hours later. And all of this happens day one. Is that aggressive? Maybe. Do you feel like it's too aggressive for you? Then don't do it. You can eliminate whatever you want. What I can tell you, though, is you need to have multiple touch points and multiple modalities. Okay? You've got to be incorporating as many as you can into this process. The next day is an email and a text message. The next day is an email. The next day after that is a voicemail. The next day after that is an email. Then the next day is a text and voicemail. And day 10 is another text message. All of those, I'm stop the screen share because I want to emphasize this. All of those follow-up scripts and templates, the primary focus of all of them is to simply open the line of communication, to open a conversation, to get them responding so you can determine 3 things. Can I help this person? How can I help this person? And when do they need my help? Can I help them? How and when? You're not trying to sell them anything. If you're trying to sell through email, text, and ringless voicemails, or phone, or even video, it's going to be an uphill battle, right? You're trying to take someone from just met to getting married. There are benchmarks along the way. We've got to have conversations that lead to appointments, and appointments can look like any number of things. It could be a phone appointment. It could be a Zoom appointment. It could be an in-person appointment. It could be a showing. Any number of ways. and you're just trying to move them down the path from cold lead or prospect that I've never met to someone comfortable enough that wants to work with me and get our expertise, get my expertise to help them buy or sell real estate. Okay. Now, let me give you some actual real world stories and examples of this in action and what you can expect. I already mentioned one, so I'll make good on that first. Last night, I had a lead that opted in yesterday. Her name is Shelly. She opted in on the offer that I mentioned, the buyer lead on demand offer. A weekly list of recently price reduced homes in Central PA. I sent her the first 2 text messages, which are as follows. Hi, Shelly, it's Josh with EXP Realty. Thanks for stopping by our page. I just emailed you the link to all the price reduced homes available right now in Central PA. Let me know if you don't get it. 3 minutes later, the second text says, also just curious, are you looking for a specific school district? She replied an hour and a half after that. Now this, I had already put my phone away for the night, but she replied, I didn't receive a link in my email. That's an opportunity. That's a good thing, actually. My email address is, and she confirmed her email address, which is the one that we had sent the email to. For whatever reason, it may have ended up in her spam or junk folder, which is actually, I may want to look at how that email is worded. Maybe there's something in that email that we need to update. She goes on to say, I'm not looking for a specific school district, but I would like to stay in Perry County. Okay. I'm in a rural area in Central PA. And so this list that we're sending is 4 different counties, but she told me where she wants to be. So this opens the opportunity for step number 4 on our list, which I'll share my screen again in a minute, which is manually following up with the leads that indicate through their behavior that it's time for you to step in. This person took the time to respond. No amount of automation or AI or chat GPT can replace me sending her a video text message to reply. Do you have to send a video text message? No, but I'm going to encourage that. If you can, you should, and you do. Okay. So I sent her a video text. Number 1, apologizing that she didn't get the list. And I said, for whatever reason, sometimes it ends up in your spam or junk folder. If you could check there, that would be great. I'll also personally resend it to you. You also mentioned that you were looking in Perry County. What I'd like to do is get you set up directly in my MLS. Can you tell me a little bit more about the home you're looking for in Perry County? Now, she hasn't replied yet. She's probably at work. But I will follow up with her to make sure that she got that message, right? Because this is a person with some intent. If she took the time to tell me she didn't get the information and she told me where she wants to buy a home, there's intent there. So now I have the opportunity to have that conversation. Can I help this person? How can I help? And when do they need my help? Okay. So that is one that I will manually follow up with until I make sure that I've made good on the interaction, right? That I've made her, I've made that interaction whole, let's say. Okay. So let's add to our little document here. Our list is number 4 is manual short-term or long-term follow-up. When leads, I'm going to put them in quotes, indicate through their behavior, you should follow up with them. Okay. Now, it doesn't always have to look like that. It may mean that they looked at a property 8 times. You might want to reach out and say, hey, it looks like this property may have caught your eye. Would you like more information or even to schedule a private VIP tour? Let me know either way. Okay. they're indicating through their behavior that you should and can, that's an opportunity for you to step in and try to foster that conversation, right? To try and get that, move the ball down the field, right? Using a football analogy. The last in our 5 steps here, and again, if you have questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas, please, this is meant to be interactive. I'm riffing here because I wanted to share this because I needed the reminders as much as anything else. The last piece, step number 5, is long-term follow-up. And here's why this is so critically important. The majority of the opportunity, if you are cold lead generating, the majority of the opportunity is in the long term, is in the long game. And I'll give you a story. My first year, so for those of you who don't know, I got my license back in 2007, 6 or 7, actively sold for a number of years, realized that my passion is more what I'm teaching today. This is my passion. This stuff is what I'm most passionate about. And so I built a couple of companies providing training, coaching, programs, et cetera, around that. I decided for a number of reasons to reactivate my license and go back to actively selling real estate. In 2019, I had to close some things down and take care of some things. So I didn't actually, actively start selling until 2020. I had a campaign running that it was working really well. It was generating a lot of opportunities, a lot of leads, a lot of conversations. But for one reason or another, and we all get into these traps, I got distracted, ADD, whatever, and also, quite honestly, COVID, threw some weird stuff in the mix there as well. I stopped running that campaign. I stopped using the offer. Okay, step 1, I stopped using that offer. At the end of the year, I went back and figured out where my clients came from. And it was, I should have looked it up, but it was somewhere between 7 and 9 of my clients that year had come from that offer. But the majority of them didn't become clients until 3, 6, 8 months after they had originally opted in for the offer. You've got to play the long game. In real estate, we're in a long sales cycle, and it can be hard. But if you can focus on the long game and the long term, and think about it like your long-term follow-up is building up your bank, your ATM machine of future commissions, that's a really good way to look at this. So what is long-term automated follow-up? What should be included in that? Okay. Long-term automated, and I'm going to put automated / manual follow-up. Okay. So let's talk about that. Number 1, it's search alerts or property alerts, whatever you want to call it, where the prospects, they're getting on a continual basis properties that either, so for example, Shelly, I can now, even if she doesn't send me anything else, I at least know she's looking in Perry County. So I can update her search alert to be properties in Perry County. Okay. If people don't reply, they're going to continue to get listings that fit the criteria of the offer that they originally opted in for. They're going to continue to get them until they respond or unsubscribe. Okay. For sellers, if they request a free home valuation, they're going to get an updated home valuation email from me every month. Every month. It's just going to happen every month until they unsubscribe or until they respond or ask me for a custom CMA, or they ask questions like, how can I tap into my equity, or, I'm thinking about refinancing, whatever it may be. Okay. So that built-in long-term follow-up matching whatever it is that they opted in for up front. That's number 1. Number 2 is something that I've been beating the drum with my own sales organization and just, in this real estate community that we play in for quite some time. Now, the exact approach and the exact tactics have evolved most recently, but in my opinion, one of the most profitable things you can do in your business is sending a weekly email newsletter to your entire database. Now, the effectiveness of that newsletter can vary greatly depending upon how you craft that newsletter. And so I've got a bonus that we'll happily share with whoever's on here. Just get back to whoever invited you, where I walk through the entire email newsletter, the thought process and the why behind it, the how-to and examples of it, and then even into some things that you can do to improve deliverability and things of that nature. And the way that we treat that email newsletter is it is the catalyst that drives opportunities for you to follow up and follow through with leads. In other words, it's created in such a way that there are a number of behavioral or action triggers in the email that, because we use, for example, KV Core, I can go and see people from my email that I send out on Friday mornings. I can see the people that have come back and requested an updated home valuation, that have come back and are searching for or looking at open houses this weekend, or looking at new construction homes, or they clicked on, to check out $1 million listings in Central PA. There are any number of triggers built into that, and then that fills up my pool of opportunities to be following up and following through with each and every day. You can and should also incorporate direct mail into your long-term follow-up. Now, you don't want to be sending direct mail to any and everyone, but actually, let me tie this together. You may be wondering, well, how do you send direct mail to people that just opted in with their name, email, and phone number? Well, bonus, the first bonus step that I sort of teased at the beginning is, for every lead that you're generating, if you have the mindset of every one of these leads is a real person with real lives and a real situation of some kind, we do what we describe as fully dispositioning every lead. So every lead that comes in, we're looking to find, does this person own a home, or are they renting currently? And if they own a home, we append that data to their contact record. And then, if they opted in for our Central PA recently price reduced homes, they're going to continue to get those. But if we've also discovered that they own a home, we're going to set them up so that they get a monthly update, an update every month on their home value. And we may also send them direct mail with information about their home, home value, and what's going on in the market, a home price report, things of that nature. So just like the short-term automated follow-up, your long-term automated follow-up should incorporate as many different modalities as possible: email, phone, text, whether it's hosting events, or whether they be in person or virtual events. In fact, last week on one of our huddles, I think it was on Thursday, we were talking about doing home buyer workshops and doing those in person, doing them virtual, and incorporating that. That is a great reason to follow up with your database. Okay, that gives you a good reason to follow up with them in whatever means possible, whatever ways you have of communicating them: email, phone, text, on social media, etc. So incorporating as many of those as possible. And then the last sort of bonus step is retargeting. Okay. And that's a deep dive topic for another Monday Marketing Mastermind. But just generally speaking, putting other offers in front of your audience that creates additional triggers and reasons why you should then invest your time and energy, maybe manually following up. So for example, someone who opts in on our Central PA recently price reduced home, and then 2 weeks later, they also request a free report with 25 mistakes to avoid when buying your first home. Like that's a hotter lead. That's a warmer lead than someone that just opted in on the first thing. And we also know through their behaviors, we've just learned that they're probably a first-time buyer. It's either the first time they bought our home, or maybe it's the first time in a long time that they're buying a home. So they're trying to reacclimate themselves. And there are any number of ways that you can retarget. You can retarget people on YouTube. You can retarget people on Google with display advertising. You can retarget people on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter even. And we've got an entire retargeting workshop, which if any of you on here are interested in that, I'll just give you access to that. Just get back to whoever invited you and they'll let you know, and we can get you a login to that to check that out. But as I said, that's kind of like a deep dive for another day. But if you want to win at the game of turning cold leads into hot clients and eventually warm referrals, you've got to be addressing these 7 components, and especially the first 5 steps, especially those first 5 steps. All right. With all of that said, I'm going to finish up with a little analogy that I shared on the Wake Up Show. I want to share it here again, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. My in-laws live down the street, okay, which is a blessing because we've got 4 kids. They're both retired. We've got 4 kids. They all play multiple sports. So we are constantly driving everywhere, and they're a super help for that. February, which at the time of this live session was last month, we're in March. We've got a lot of family birthdays. It's my birthday in February. It's my wife's. It's my mother-in-law's. And for my mother-in-law's birthday, my father-in-law baked her a cake. This cake was delicious. Okay, now he didn't bake it from scratch. I think he even used like a cake box. It was phenomenal. My mother-in-law, who I pray never sees this, she baked a cake for my wife. So my order of sequence, my birthday was first, and I asked for a specific kind of carrot cake's my favorite. So, and nobody in my family makes carrot cakes, right? So I got they bought me a carrot cake. My mother-in-law's birthday was next in line, and my father-in-law baked this cake. It was delicious. My wife's is the next in line. My mother-in-law made my wife the cake. It was just okay. Like, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't nearly as good as my father-in-law's. And here's why. My father-in-law followed, I know this because I'm down there all the time, and I hear the conversations. I know what happens. I've been there when there's baking going on. My father-in-law follows the recipe to a T. My mother-in-law just kind of, I know it says this much, but and sometimes the stuff she bakes is delicious. And sometimes we end up throwing it out because it was clear that Gigi was just winging it today and not following a recipe. Point being, if you're going to invest your time, money, and energy into generating leads with the intent of turning them into clients and eventually referrals, you need to follow a winning recipe. The hard part in real estate is there are lots of winning recipes, and there are lots of variables in each one's market and with each one's personality, etc. So it's finding the winning recipe for you, your market, your personality, and then sticking to that. And again, I'm talking to me as much as all of you, because this is as much a reminder to me as anything else, because I get distracted and break away. I am my mother-in-law too often, where I break what I know to be the winning recipe, whether it's out of boredom or shiny object syndrome or whatever it is. This is a reminder for me to get back to the winning recipe, get back to the recipe that works. Okay. With that said, questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas, we will share the document. We will share the retargeting workshop and any other, the email newsletter that I mentioned, the email newsletter document, which I'll even show you what that looks like, just so you have context. Any of that, we will happily share. Just get back to whoever, whoever shared this or invited you to this. This is what this document looks like. I didn't even have time to dive into this, but this is a scripting. If you are going to make outbound calls to the engaged leads, okay, to the leads that are looking at properties, favoriting properties, coming back to look at properties, things of that nature, this is a scripting process that is working really well for us. We call it our predictive prospecting script. We'll share all of that, as well as the recording as soon as this is rendered